let's go back in time to a podcast episode in 2017 where Hila recounts her time served in the Israeli military that is renowned for headlines like this, and this, and this. And not once has she shown remorse for being part of it, or I at
Back,
least couldn't find
Grips.
a
I'm
single
back.
clip. If it exists, please let me know in the comments and I will do right by it. Let's take a closer look to show you what I mean by having no remorse for it. Hila was born in Tel Aviv. In the podcast episode featuring Hila, she explained that she attended the mandatory IOF service from around
Oh, hell
2005 to
yeah.
2007, I assume. The other option, according to them on the
I'm gonna
podcast,
put my
would have
camp
been
fit
6 months
on,
in
do a little
prison.
swimming.
Ethan, while he attended the heritage trip fully paid for by, to quote Ethan, rich Jews from around the world to connect with fellow Israelis to get married. A very Zionistic event, as Ethan stated. But he didn't really care about that back then,
This fit
and
is
Hila
good.
was
I
still
love
part of
all
the
my
IOF
fits.
back then.
I love
Eventually,
my,
she and Ethan lived in Israel
uh,
together for 5 years before they moved together to America. In those years,
I
Hila
love how
wanted
my
to attend
style
art school but
progresses
got
into
declined and applied again a year later. Why is this my script? Hila proceeds to talk about how her
depending on my
military
mood.
service began.
How was your experience in the military?
Um, it was okay. It happened right after there was some kind of a second war in
I remember
Gaza.
that.
There was some sort of a small war
Yeah.
when I was there, and
As we can see, she doesn't seem to even know what war this was, and referred to it as a small war. The small war Hila is talking about is known as the Second Intifada. And just to give you a little bit of context, the Second Intifada was an uprising from Palestine, largely a response against Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories, including the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem that began around September 2000 and went on for about 5 years. It was triggered by years of facing systemic oppression, restricted movement, and
I love
military
swimming. I
crackdowns,
wish
all
that
by
I were
Israel.
actually swimming
No
in real
word
life
from
right now.
Hila about how Palestinians faced really harsh living conditions under occupation, which included severe disruptions in daily life, including food and medical shortages. What's more is that the Second Intifada actually shaped the policies and military doctrine of the IOF. IOF's approach to security, surveillance, and control over Palestinian territories today is actually deeply rooted in the Second Intifada. The normalization of collective punishments, the construction of the separation wall, the expansion of settlements, all have their origins in this period. The death toll was highly disproportionate, with Palestinian casualties vastly outnumbering Israeli ones. Why does Ila not mention any of these? If she personally did not
Oh yeah.
participate in war crimes, she should be willing
What's
to
that?
confront these uncomfortable truths when discussing her IOF service.
Oh,
Anything less risks erasing the immense toll it has taken on Palestinian lives. Her detachment from the suffering experienced by Palestinians is quite telling as to how much she cares about any of this.
so my job was to like when they send officers or like people to go serve, I had to like logistically help with their hotel or a room,
Okay.
things like that. But it was all on the computer. It just felt like
Just secretary.
yeah, and it was super boring, and I really hated it.
Come on, Ela. This is your chance to tell us that contributing to the oppression of Palestinians didn't sit right with you. This is your time to shine.
Because it was just like
Yes?
I had to take a bus super early,
what?
go there, spend the whole day, go back home. I hated it. So I tried to change my role.
It was super boring and she had to take a really early bus. Ela says she would have found a way to leave the IOF if she wouldn't have liked her new position.
You can apply for it, they're going to give you something else completely random. I decided to do that, and if I don't like the second one, then I'll just find a way to get out of the army.
It was that bad.
Yeah, I just didn't, I hated everything about it, didn't want to do it. It felt like I wasn't doing anything, like I was just wasting my life. It could get really frustrating, I don't know, and you got to do it for 2 years.
At this point, she has indicated that it was her personal choice to stay in the IOF. Ela has stated in the past that it is honorable to serve in the IOF.
Is it
For one person to decide I'm not going to do it is a very selfish decision because meanwhile you're not doing it, everybody else is doing it and putting their life on hold. That's the whole country. It's mandatory service. It's the whole country.
There's nothing wrong. I hold to this
And
day
there's
that
other countries that have mandatory service
Yeah.
is just being racist. If you have a problem with the whole country, that's
Including, by the way,
racist.
Turkey.
Yeah,
They're rich
and
enough
my
to flee the
parents
country.
were not the rich kind that will pay to get me out. But even if they were, they would not agree to that because they think it's important to serve like everybody else in the country. I mean, it's a very selfish move to decide, okay, I'm not going to do it, but
You have to
everybody else
understand,
will.
like,
What did her husband say 2 years ago on this podcast?
I never faked ticks. Actually, no, I did one time. That's not true.
Really?
I was being recruited for the military when I was in Israel, and I told him I have Tourette's, which I guess disqualifies you for the draft.
Wait, you faked ticks to get out of the draft?
No, I didn't fake ticks. I have Tourette's, but I went for the interview, and they were asking me questions, and like I'm not, my ticks aren't always visible.
Right.
It's not always
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and so they make you feel
Yeah,
like such a
well,
fucking
that's-
piece
No,
of shit.
that's basically.
And so I started doing like this, but those are ticks I had.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was like, and then when I did that, I felt so stupid because like, oh, see, yes, ticks.
Getting
No,
out of being drafted into the IDF is the one time.
I was not
acceptable
doing the
to you.
IDF, bro. I was not doing that. I was not doing it.
Such a striking contrast in perspectives here.
I filled out that form and I tried it, and then I somehow ended up in a better place that I liked a lot more.
So Ela stated that she
Um.
ended up in a better place. She relocated from Tel Aviv to Ramallah. Just to give you a quick overview of the historical context, Ramallah was effectively occupied by Israel since 2005. Despite being officially part of the Palestinian Authority under the Oslo Accords, the Israeli army controlled access to and from Ramallah, with roadblocks and checkpoints severely restricting Palestinian movement.
I somehow ended up in a better place that I liked.
Her new position was apparently another secretary job in the Duchipat battalion.
The new one, a base that was far from my house. You go there for the whole week and then you come back for the weekend.
So you preferred that? Were you gone for a whole week?
I did.
Interesting. Why?
It was kind of like
Oh,
just
fuck,
more
I
of
feel
an
better.
adventure, more of a different experience. I preferred than to just go to a boring job, sit on the computer and go back home at the end of every day. I don't know. I was in Duchifat, that's in charge of the area of Ramallah. That brigade has like a main officer, so I was his secretary.
Okay, so you were right below the big boy. Cool.
Under the big boys. Cool.
It's hard to explain, but for some reason it was more interesting. I enjoyed it more.
You told me once you went on like a mission with them to like a terrorist city.
Sure, buddy.
I chose to launch my business with LegalZoom. They keep the process simple and efficient. You can launch your business in just 3 easy steps. Plus, LegalZoom has what you need to manage and grow your business. LegalZoom, your business journey starts here.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That was kind of a crazy story.
Yeah, my officers and like the soldiers in that brigade, they would go every night on a raid in Ramallah to arrest terrorists. So one time I wanted to go with them just to experience it.
Why you just all of a sudden had an urge to go with them?
I just wanted to see what it's like.
Right.
I wanted to see it. They took me with them one night, even though they weren't supposed to. You're driving in this like jeep that's bulletproof, so I was in the jeep. As soon as we entered Ramallah, the people in the city started shooting at us.
Wow.
And I heard like the bullet hit the jeep like right next to my head.
Did it like dent or just
No,
you
you
heard
just
it?
hear it. I mean, it was just interesting.
They were so someone actually was shooting the car when you went in there right away.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, I walked with them to one house.
Oh, okay.
I did get out of the car once.
Did they arrest anyone that night?
They did.
Did they bring it in the same car with you?
No.
Was it like how did you feel? Was it horrifying?
It was strange. Very, very weird.
How so?
I don't know. Just you see people in their house, and then it's like the soldiers just walk into the house and look through and find guns, and the whole thing is really surreal.
Does it feel like a normal neighborhood, or does it feel like, oh, this is scary?
No, it actually was like a nice city.
Ela recounting her little adventure smiles as she's talking about how their vehicle got shot at while they were invading homes in Ramallah.
Yeah, they shot at you?
Yeah.
Oh my, how were you scared?
It was pretty weird. Yeah.
You were
We were in a like a really risky area,
Yeah.
and then there was like right here.
No!
Right.
No!
It hit
I
the
think that's my
jeep right
friend.
next to
Oh
my
my god, oh
ear.
my god, oh my god.
It
Oh my
Was
god.
it you
And
I
did you
saw?
smile like you're smiling now, or?
I think I did.
Carrying yourself well out there.
Whoa,
Word
did you?
travels
Did,
fast.
well, I mean, what do you do? I mean, you crowd, you just did that.
Tricky.
That's so
What do you
funny.
propose?
If we cut in the past and we saw that and she was doing
You
that,
know,
that would be the
Nemo comes
funniest
from
thing
rest.
I've ever seen.
The
There is
giving
still
power
no
of the
word
mother,
from her
the
that Ramallah
nurturing
is
rest.
actually a Palestinian city, not even in
Poor
that moment
thing.
when Ethan
Hope
called
it
it a
doesn't miss this.
terrorist city.
Yeah.
Despite the fact it was already under
Gentle
Israeli
giants.
occupation
They're
during her
far more
time there,
patient with
even
us
recounting
than
her
we
time
deserve.
in the IOF was that she was bored working as a
Every
secretary,
mammal I meet
wanted to
feels
go
like
on a road
looking
trip,
in a
and
mirror.
even admits she would have tried to get out of it if
They
her
may
new
look
role
vicious,
was
but
boring
they're
too,
just
all
fulfilling
while
their
smiling.
role in the
Then,
cycle.
any attempt from Ethan to bring at least some critical thought of this
This
particular
beautiful
scenario
creature is
of
not
raiding
so
a
different from
Palestinian
you
home,
or me.
we get this.
Practically the
Other
same.
lessons, disciplines, things that you learned, that you retained from that period in your
Impressive.
life.
These
How did
can
it
be
change
hard
you
to
going
catch.
through that?
One of our smaller
Not
friends,
sure
but no
that
less
it changed
important.
me.
Some large mammals are
I
so
think
graceful
the
despite their
biggest thing
size.
is just like being
Small
put
but
in a
often
place
very fast.
with a group of people that maybe normal life you wouldn't necessarily become friends with, but in this situation you just become friends with them and they become your family. So that aspect of it
Oh,
was
I guess I
interesting.
didn't get
But
that
I mean,
enough.
I don't know.
It's just some bullshit job for you for 2 years.
I thought for sure I would rank up a whole
In a
bunch
way.
from all of
Ethan
that.
comes across as detached. You can't
Okay.
help but infer that
Well,
she's
we're gonna
simply
do the Gators
unwilling to confront the moral weight of the topic. There's no reflection, no critical engagement,
Good luck out
just
there.
surface
Thank you.
level
Oh,
remarks that
there we go.
sidestep the deeper conversation. And when you think Bila served in the IOF long before October 7th, then let me tell you that does not mean that the IOF did not already have a backlog of widespread documentation of its war crimes and atrocities.
Don't do
And
it.
if you
Don't
think
do
she
it.
seems shy
Don't go to the
or
water.
struggled to articulate her thoughts, well, let me also tell you that she had no trouble expressing her thoughts, her take, and herself earlier in the episode when discussing the involvement of Louis C.K. in the Me Too movement.
I felt really sad. Like yesterday, especially when the whole story officially came out. For some reason, with someone like Harvey Weinstein, I don't care as much. It's sad in a different way. It's sad that it happened. But with Louis, I kind of feel like he died yesterday.
He said in his apology, he justified it by saying, well, I asked girls first if I could show them my dick.
Yeah,
But he acknowledges, like,
the situation is much more complicated than that. So even if you say yes at the moment, as the lady, even if she said yes at the moment, I think the situation is so surreal. You're like with one of your idols,
right.
and you're just thinking at the moment, this is weird, but I don't know what to do. So you say yes, but later
not
you
even expecting him to necessarily even
you think
strip
maybe he's
naked.
kidding or something. But later you can think about it and be like, that was really tough.
Or how she views American students protesting against the Israeli government.
Someone versus paid by their parents $200,000 tuition on campus protesting Israel. Do you find that ironic?
I do. When I lived in Israel, I used to criticize Israel a lot,
Yeah,
like
me too,
as an
actually.
Israeli
Yeah.
and the army and a lot of stuff. But when we moved here and I started to go on Reddit and stuff like that, and just being more aware of like the online criticism that and there's
It's not just online, but
it's not
general.
just online.
Yeah.
I just became more aware of like the criticism here of Israel and in general around the world, and it's really I personally think it's so ironic. Like it's just like I don't know. It's kids sitting here in like beautiful California criticizing like you don't even know what you're talking about.
Right.
Now, I get it. You were 18 at the time, you've grown up in Israel all your life. All you've seen and heard are horror stories because you're surrounded by Israeli media. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion hadn't released yet. Access to the World Wide Web wasn't so common. How are you supposed to think to yourself, maybe we shouldn't contribute to the oppression of Palestinians? I don't want to go to jail and have a hard job. I have no idea that in 2025 she's going to get paid to crash out live on a podcast. Like in this same episode when she talks about her perspective as a child.
I guess maybe I had
Let's
already
say
done
less
that one.
specific to this, more general. Like they built a wall and Israel should be one state, so Palestinians and Israel all living together. They should reduce the borders and remove the gate. That to me seems like super ignorant.
It is because when I grew up, I couldn't really take a bus. I was afraid of blowing up.
Right.
And now it doesn't really happen. So the wall did help. So should we not have a wall?
Can you explain about the wall for people who don't know about it?
I don't know like how to explain.
Well, I guess simply it's like
it was built to prevent this. like that.
It's understandable that as a child, you feared for your life and saw the wall as a protective measure. No one can blame you for not wanting to be harmed. But while Hila defends the wall as a necessary security measure, as a grown adult who's 29 years old, she fails to acknowledge its broader implications. It's 2017, we have technology and access to information now. Maybe we could be asking ourselves, who decided a wall was the answer? And what alternatives were ignored? When you build a wall, are you defending yourself or are you just choosing to survive? Why do the people whom the wall is designed to stave off feel so desperate that they resort to such tragic violent acts? The wall she spoke of isolated communities, stole land, and enforced apartheid conditions. You can recognize that the fear was real while still being honest about how the wall is a tool of oppression. All these clips are so many years from that time and struggles to apply the same level of introspection when recalling their involvement in something as significant as their military service in the IOF. And she has no hesitation in defending mandatory service in Israel to this day.
I was first diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 15 years ago. I was concerned knowing that I come from a family history. My parents both had type 2 diabetes, both grandparents. It was scary because I didn't think I was having a life I was used to having.
I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 5 years ago. I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what was wrong. It was a terrible feeling, especially because the kids knew something was wrong, but they didn't know exactly what. My mother lost her life from complications of type 2 diabetes and having to see her on life support.
I mean, when you're growing up with constant terror attacks, the army is a necessity. And I'm sorry if people think that's a controversial statement. That is the reality of Israel.
She has to be so influenced by Israeli media to not comprehend that the same IOF she believes is a necessity is the same IOF that has continuously made Gaza to become the deadliest place on earth for children for the last 3 consecutive years. Every time she gets called out or criticized for things she said on the podcast, she gets super defensive and brushes off any critique or concern about this in such a annoyed, guilt-dumping and condescending manner.
Let's remind everybody how old that was. It was like so long ago. Narc's greatest hits.
Yeah,
This is Narc's greatest
I think he
hits.
made it.
I can't take this seriously, but I have to because this is crazy. This person doesn't know what they're talking about at all. Anti-Semitism, other countries that have mandatory service, you're just being racist. If you have a problem with the whole country, Ethan is allowed to point it out.
And also,
And if that's too much for you, maybe get off the internet.
You don't have to be the one that is out there in the field with a weapon in your hands to contribute to the oppression of Palestinians. You also actively contribute to the oppression of Palestinians when you are a low-level secretary behind a desk, managing the life of someone so that they have more time to unalive Palestinians. And you are more of a contributor to this when you actively seek out a role you can enjoy more and then accept it because you were so bored. And what does it make you when you participate in a raid in a nice Palestinian city just to watch what's going on because you were curious? And I'm not asking her to get on the podcast right now and apologize for what you did 20 years ago. I don't need to ask someone for something that maybe warrants a response. This type of attitude towards her mandatory service is a contributing reason as to why people not only see you as someone without a good take, but also a soft take. Thanks guys, subscribing is free. And despite the countless credible news articles that exist available at your disposal, just look at this clip of them reflecting on this podcast in 2023.
Rest anyone that night?
They did.
Did they bring it in the same car with you?
No.
Oh,
You
different
got
car.
it. There's a Fury.
It's November 2nd, 2023. Gaza is under relentless bombardment, thousands are dead, most of them civilians. And Hila, an Israeli who served in the IOF, is on camera watching an old podcast clip where she talks about her military service. You'd think, in that moment, she might say something, reflect, acknowledge, criticize, but no. She just sucks on a lollipop. This is the same person who insists no one else can speak on the conflict unless they're Israeli, not even Jews from outside the country. And yet, when given the chance to speak from that so-called position of authority, she says nothing, while the bombs fall. However, Ethan has something to add.
It's so complicated.
Yeah.
From their perspective, it's like, who's that?
But they go specifically.
Oh my god, I'm just fucking empathizing with the Palestinians in this fucking clip.
My goodness. A round of applause for this hallelujah. Voices for Palestinians Instagram, put that post back up. By God. Yes. Yes. Fast forward
Oh,
to February
I see.
17th,
Oop.
Hila getting a
Oh
Star
god.
of David tattoo. Ethan says she's embracing her identity. Sure, that's one way to look at it. Although I must say that this pose with this tattoo could leave some people to wonder what's happening. And when the backlash rolls in, with people calling her out for the tattoo, some even comparing it to a swastika, she's suddenly ready to speak. She's not silent then. She's fully here to talk about the anti-Semitism she faces and call people out. But where was this voice when the hard questions about Israel's actions were on the table? Where was the voice when it was time to acknowledge the responsibility tied to her identity? When watching this, it left me with a weird aftertaste. When she watches Hassan use the word genocide in regards to Israel's actions
Oh,
with
it's not a
Despicable,
war zone, so we can't say that it's a war zone? That's not woke enough?
she gets snarky and defensive. The crickets are still cricketing about her lack of public criticism in regards with almost everything Israel does. But when it's time to defend her right to wear a symbol that, let's be honest, not only represents Judaism but also Israel, she's loud. She got the words to speak up. But when it's time to speak out about the actions of her country, the silence is deafening now.
Don't get fooled by phone scammers. ReversePhone.com can help you see who's behind that number. Phone fraud is at an all-time high, and these scammers are only getting better at it. But there's a way to fight back. ReversePhone.com can help you discover who's behind the call. Is it a
God damn it.
scammer, a telemarketer, something else?
Oh,
Search
no.
unknown numbers fast. And now ReversePhone.com has email and website fraud scams.
Fucking you,
Stay
stop it.
smart and stay protected. See who's behind that number with ReversePhone.com.
Get away from me, Hercules.
Thinking about
Thank
starting to run on the
you.
treadmill again. I need to drop my belly fat.
Yeah, no, that's total BS.
Think I'm gonna start cutting carbs. Also, total BS. What am I supposed to do then?
So I thought this girl was working out like crazy, but she wasn't. I met her yesterday at a conference, and I asked her, "How do you look so great?"
This is how to get in shape fast. Cardio burns fat, right? No. Cardio actually burns calories, usually in the form of carbohydrates in the bloodstream that are then replaced with the very next meal that you eat and stored as more fat.
I'm Lori Fetrick, former American Gladiator Ice, and this is why I don't do long, boring cardio. Just ditch that idea that the gym is the best.
It's successful in its own right, and there's really nothing shady going on with Teddy Fresh.
So, Hila Klein, fashion mogul, creative genius,
God damn
and
it, stop it.
self-proclaimed authority on what makes good merch. She's got opinions.
Still not. The pants are just terrible.
Terrible. This is Brazil.
What?
My goodness. Why are they not more swag?
And especially when it comes to Hassan's hiker's wear.
Wait, so why is he dressed like that? Let me start with the story. Oh my god.
Yeah, bro, what are you doing with the sword there, bud? What year is it? This fucking
narrative overcomes truth. The art is Hassan sitting on his computer reading chat.
I like the art on all of
Yeah,
it. I
no
agree that the
problem with
captions make it kind of.
It's the concept.
Yeah, the art.
I have no problem with the art at all.
In her eyes, his photo shoot is cringe and themeless. For someone that is the creative force behind Teddy Fresh and seemingly wants to be a fashion mogul, you don't have to like Hassan to understand there is a deliberate and recognizable theme here. Aestheticized political rebellion and modern streetwear with a mall ninja vibe leading into satire. Is it so hard to recognize that? Now, I'm not saying this because I'm upset that someone said mean things about his haircut. This is just a great example of how personal bias can make someone look like a huge hypocrite. Because if you're going to copy someone else's brand, your own better be good. And that brings us to Teddy Fresh.
Tell me, what does Teddy Fresh mean?
Don't you trust me?
How,
You something?
what does,
Yes, give me a second.
how,
I don't know. It's a little teddy bear.
Hila has always emphasized how much of Teddy Fresh is her original vision. The brand, she claims, is deeply personal, uniquely designed, and all her own work.
I'm happy
In
to see you
2017, again, the
I'm
same
happy to
interview
see
with her
you,
husband,
mate.
she
I
explained
got
how
some
she loves
stuff.
to draw her designs by hand. Back then, she was still in the
Alright,
process of
let's see
understanding
what you
their
have for
own
me.
concept and developing Teddy Fresh. Now, 8 years later, I wonder
They
if
may
Hila
look vicious,
found her
but they're
concept.
just
Because what we
fulfilling their
see a lot
role
of in
in
their
the cycle.
marketing is this
More. What
kid
else do you
core.
have squirreled away?
Adult models dressed like
Another
kids
one.
and presented like
Fine,
kids
I'll
and
take it.
teenagers, paired with environments that contain things like a poster with the words on the wall.
Referred to as a lolly.
What's that?
It's like a genre of hentai where the girls are very young.
And it's interesting to see her reaction to this because her own brand's marketing sometimes leans into
It's an
aesthetics that
impressive
aren't, of
collection,
course,
isn't
the
it?
same thing, but kind of in the same neighborhood. And then those sleeves paired with featuring young children, also with their faces not blurred, is
Thank
undoubtedly
God.
ethical. I just want to say that this is quite irresponsible and that if the issue is about how people present their merch, then Teddy Fresh needs to take a look into a mirror. Now let's talk a little bit of Control C, Control V. There have been a few instances where Teddy
Be
Fresh
careful
had
with
been
these.
accused
They
of
can be
dipping their little
lethal if
too deep
used
into
on
the
our
honey jar
smallest
of
friends.
inspiration from
Save it
fellow
for our
designers.
sturdier
Some might
companions.
even say they snort it. Now, I just want to
Release
be
this when you're
clear
in
that I am
legendary
not
animal
accusing Teddy
territory,
Fresh and
and
the people
wait for
behind
their
it of
response.
stealing
A
designs.
powerful
I
tool
just
for
want to point out
communication.
some
Okay.
similarities here.
Simple
The
enough,
Teddy
then?
Bear X-Ray long sleeve
I would say
tee
so.
from 2021 is particularly interesting because two parts might appear as quite similar to two separate designs. This is a long sleeve tee from Philip Klein. It looks like the body was ripped directly from this design by Philip Klein, except for the head, and Illustrator's portfolio called Siegel's Design has a teddy bear with a head that could be
it got stuck in the branch that it was growing on, and then it also has a line from where it was strung on the plant, but still perfectly edible, just not visually as aesthetic as what we consider perfect produce.
identical to the head of this teddy bear from Teddy Fresh. Look at the sewing holes of the button. They're at the exact same position. I understand that it's hard to come up with new designs, but come on, didn't you draw a teddy bear like a lot of times?
I made all kinds of sketches for the teddy bear. That's actually the shirt that has all the Teds all over it.
Or was that all the...
Those were all my attempts at making the logo.
It's very much possible that the design was licensed, but when was there maybe disclosure about Teddy Fresh deciding to license designs? It's okay to be transparent about wanting to save time, resources, and money.
So we didn't realize it was an exact copy until it was brought up recently. And then people say, well, why don't you do your due diligence? I'm like, bro, it's a fucking knitting book from 1995. The design is dead from this planet. It was like some cosmic coincidence that someone even found it in a thrift store.
Sure, if this is the truth, then fair enough. However, it's crazy how frequently cosmic coincidences appear to occur. Here is a Teddy Fresh, sick-ass graphic of a bear about to maul someone, and here's a PS3 game from 2013 called Cabela's Dangerous Hunts.
This is a licensed image, but honestly, it's so different too. Like even making the accusation is kind of insane. It may not even be a licensed image. I don't know. Hard to tell. But like, it's a video game cover, and this is completely different.
When you take a closer look, there is still water around the bear's paw like in the original PS3 video game art, and you can see that the bear has a little stub because the text was blocking, so they just cut its arm. Whatever, in the words of Ethan Klein,
it doesn't matter anyway.
I just find it kind of funny how they write off one similarity as, oh, interesting.
Okay.
I will admit, it was way too close for comfort. I don't know what happened with this one, to be honest. Yeah, it's Prada. I recognize that sweater. It's a Prada sweater with the flames. I mean, this one's on a hoodie. Yeah, I mean, this one's a little sus. I agree. I'm not sure what happened here. That's maybe the only one that he could call me out on, that I can probably look a little deeper into.
And also, like I mentioned earlier, I reached out to the charity organizations in their good cause section to verify the donations that have been made. Because why not fact check the fashion brand by H3? And while Victims First spoke very highly of Teddy Fresh and said that they were the largest donator at that time with an awesome contribution of $219,526,000 to the centralized Uvalde victims, let's just say that one of the other organizations listed here did not want to be mentioned at this time, have never received donations from Teddy Fresh, nor did they receive any communications from them. Maybe it was an error. I do hope that whatever happened there will get resolved and that Teddy Fresh can continue to have a great impact on various causes in the future.
By the way, she goes, Ethan needs to be criticized for being pro-Israel, and also Hila said back crazy stuff. Okay, well, clearly you're going to have evidence to support that, right?
Absolutely. Please fasten your seatbelts, stow your disbelief, and prepare for a smooth descent into some absolutely wild podcast commentary. Here, Hila and Ethan are reacting to iDubbbz's Content Cop video, in which he contextualizes his wife's background, half Lebanese, half Irish, pointing out that historically, her people were on the receiving end of colonial violence.
Lisa is half Lebanese and half Irish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we know.
For anyone unfamiliar, the Irish have been on the receiving end of a lot of oppression and genocide. On the
Oh, wow.
part of the Lebanese, they've received a lot of oppression and attacks from the IDF. So Anissa is very well
And
familiar.
sir, do you happen to know of any violence perhaps coming towards Israel
Why did
where
I?
Hezbollah grew up? Perhaps from Lebanon, Hezbollah, perhaps? Does that ring a bell to you, you dumb, ignorant? How dare you attempt to lecture me on this conflict?
Familiar with the propaganda and the coming out of Israel. Choosing now, out of all the time, to be like, please defend me. No, we're not going to fucking defend
Okay,
you.
so this is very interesting.
Wow.
He says on the day that CPS was called and we're understandably heated, he goes, no, I'm not going to defend you. Why? Because you're Israeli.
Israeli.
That's literally what he said.
I mean,
His
he
argument.
made
Do I
sure
have it
to
wrong?
include the flags so a 5-year-old could understand what he was saying. So yes, that's what he was saying.
I feel like that's exactly what he's saying. And correct me if I'm wrong.
He put the Israel flag and he said, no, she's not going to defend you.
Yeah, I just don't want people to be like, that's not what
Yeah.
he meant. I mean, I don't see it any other way.
Stop hallucinating anti-Semitism.
There is so much to unpack here. For example, Hezbollah was formed in 1982 in response to the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. How on earth can you, Ela, sit there and let
Hello.
me talk down generational trauma while flipping this around into a narrative that makes your home country look like the victim in all of this? You, who once claimed that non-Israelis can't speak out without authority on these matters. I honestly wonder if you even realize that it was Israel, your own country, that occupied Lebanon for 18 years during your lifetime, or that in 2006, following the killing of 3 Israeli soldiers and the capture of 2 by Hezbollah, Israel responded not with diplomacy, but with massive airstrikes, artillery, and a ground invasion, resulting in deaths of over 1,100 Lebanese civilians. Civilians, not soldiers, people. And who did that? The IOF. Yes, the ones you don't want to be called terrorists.
Well, listen, they can call Israeli soldiers terrorists, but like you weren't a soldier. They didn't go that far.
I mean, I think even calling soldiers terrorists is not accurate.
The army, people should serve in because it is honorable.
A singer or something, and then they still go into the army, and everybody will commend them. Like, that's really nice. You know, you're paying your duty.
And you guys sit there and you laugh and say,
oh, wow.
Yeah, we know.
For anyone unfamiliar, the Irish...
And I honestly find it remarkable how Ela can say,
stop hallucinating anti-Semitism.
Right after victimizing herself because he showed the Israeli flag, even though he was only talking about the IOF in that moment.
I mean, he made
Do I have it
to
wrong?
include the flags so a 5-year-old could understand what he was saying. So yes, that's what he was saying. He put the Israel flag and he said, no, she's not going to defend you. Stop hallucinating anti-Semitism.
Now, I want to be very clear that obviously Ela and Ethan have the right to criticize Hamas, but it sure is interesting to see what they criticize exactly. Like here when they pause right after hearing that Israel's occupation must end in all Palestinian land.
The occupation must end in the Gaza Strip. No, I'm talking about all Palestinian lands. Once again, that's funny because it's exactly related to what he accuses me of spreading Israeli propaganda about. My point is when Israelis hear from the ocean to the sea, they hear all of Israel. And guess what? That's what the guy from Hamas is saying on the screen.
I don't understand. If a movement is for peace between 2 people and 1 people is telling you they're not comfortable with this statement, shouldn't we change the statement to something that both people can get behind?
No,
We are for peace.
well, people will say that Israel's the aggressor, so they shouldn't have to adjust anything.
Yeah, but that's like watered down American version of what's happening there.
A moment of striking honesty from someone who is often quick to silence criticism. I wrote a bunch of conclusions for this video, but to simply summarize
Thank you, sir.
my takeaway with Ela is that no one can win. Thanks for watching the video. Bye-bye. Now, just to add one thing, if you believe Ethan's views and his moral stands were maybe indoctrinated by his wife, let me show you one final clip.
So it's really frustrating because like the way I always thought about it is like I was just born here. I don't care. Like I don't know the history and I don't care. We're all just people here.
Yeah, people.
And now I have to choose sides and I have to.
And I'm saying that's why the reason I left it because like this isn't my fight. And Ela, I think since before she knew, thought it wasn't her fight. She never belonged there. And it's like I don't really want to be involved in this because when you live in Israel, you start to learn things, or maybe I don't know if it's a brainwashing thing or you're you're with the club, right? You're with
Right.
that tribe.
Yeah.
So it gets through to you.
Yeah.
Before I went to Israel, I was very pro-Palestinian because I went to a very liberal college. I went to UC Santa Cruz, and there it's like they literally have protests on the campus of like Israeli soldiers Palestinians. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's totally cool. But when you go there and then you learn, you spend time with Palestinians and you talk to them,
I do wonder what happened now, guys. But thanks for watching the video. Bye-bye.
You'll be back! Emu can't help people customize and save at Liberty Mutual!
Lovely. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Are you ready for more? The next 3 episodes of Andor Season 2 are now available on Disney+.
If we do not stand together, we will be crushed.
We want them growing bolder. We have a source inside.
What a swell party this is.
Sorry, buddy.
Let's have
Excuse
some
me.
fun, shall we, folks? You all remember Patrick Bet-David. He is that multi-millionaire business consultant, former owner of... It was an insurance company that was really sort of like a membership program where you could join up to be one of the... you could pay a fee to be one of their insurance salespeople, and apparently, like... If you were top tier, you could make some cash. If you were not top tier, you would probably spend some cash.
Top of the pyramid
Top tier, and then you recruit some other people beneath you.
And I want to be absolutely clear, a totally legal
Completely.
enterprise.
Yeah.
But just one that like wealth seems to flow up. Anyways,
in which salespeople pay the company that's supposedly employing them.
I don't know if they were actually technically employing them. They were more like part of the gang. And
part of the scheme.
Part of the schematics of the gang, I guess you could say. And here he is. He's invited Andrew Callahan from, what is that, like Channel, what was it?
All Gas, No Breaks, Channel 5.
He's Channel 5 now.
Now, right, yeah.
And they've been doing, his channel's been doing some really good, like, on-the-ground work. Like, I think a few months ago they were down at the border. He tried to cross the Rio Grande himself, so check out Channel 5. I think that he's doing really good work over there.
California's been trying to do it. Well, I think they'd talk about Gavin Newsom and the homelessness.
Right, that's the thing. Is everyone sees Gavin Newsom as like an enabler for all these destructive democratic policies, but he still makes concessions to conservatives who are like bullying him into not carrying it out. For example, let's take the Tenderloin in San Francisco. It's still the biggest open-air drug zone in the city. Been that way for decades. He, obviously during the Biden administration and when Newsom was in control, he still is. It was a crazy scene out there. There was people smoking fentanyl in the streets, people defecating and sleeping in the streets.
San Francisco.
Yeah, in this particular area.
Is there a clip you want him to show?
No, I think we can just overlay it or something. But I mean, in general, Governor Newsom was being kind of like shit on for letting that happen. But the reality is, and people on the ground know this, there was supposed to be a safe injection site that was 2 blocks long, 2 blocks wide, that was supposed to be maintained by the state and the city. So it made it so people wouldn't be able to use heroin, fentanyl, and meth on the streets. They would have to go to a controlled environment where the public and children and people who were living in that community wouldn't have to interact with them, and they could have the access to the services they need. At the last minute, Governor Newsom didn't build it because he was too scared of getting another media smear campaign and being made to seem like someone who lets people do drugs in the open.
I'm gonna find something else. I might switch over to some true crime. Okay. Oh, I realized. Shit. I'm an idiot. Yeah. Shut up. YouTube's algorithm is so fucked. I just want to find something good to watch. Come on. Come on. Um, what am I going to watch? Oh, hey, Cal. I'm not going to watch anything at the moment. What's up, buddy? Why can't I ride you? Wow, whole bunch. Oh, you fucker. Wait, I don't want to revive you yet. Sorry, buddy. Okay. Oh. This was the one. That other Devon Ox I hadn't actually sampled. My bad. Don't do it. Oh, you woke up? Alright. Please don't call that different. Three American alligator sample, 5 cracker cows, 3 Devon ox, 3 alpine goat. Oh, you all went in here. Thanks, guys. Appreciate. Oh, no samples. Okay. Oh, hi. You want some of this too? Sorry. Oh, you guys are missing out? My bad. Shit. Cracker Cow and this ox. Where? Okay. I'm confused. And so that one ran away, but we should be sleeping somewhere. Very fair, fine. It's all good. Everything's okay. Eh? Oh. I'm on Survivor. My bad, guys. Sorry. See you later. Go to sleep, little sheep.
Hello again. Go on, have yourself a quick nosy. Okay, let's see.
Nope.
You got it. made with my own fair hands.
Your own fair hands. Is that like a racist thing, or your hands are fair because you wear gloves, or like they're fair as in like they're just?
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure doing business.
Pleasure is all mine. Sorry. Sir? Beautiful. You're a beautiful horse. God, I'm a fucking idiot. Thank you, Ethan Klein. You are my best friend. You are the payer. You are the legend. Hi, Cat. What's up?
Make your browser.
Oh, God.
Fascia clearly gets active lifestyles. They're developed by dietitians and prepared by chefs, so they're actually good. And they're
Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe to the channel for regular content on ancient architecture, as well as all of the latest news from the world of archaeology. Archaeological discoveries really can be exciting, and one so-called new discovery has taken the world by storm, that there are huge, deep, man-made structures below the Pyramid of Khafre. I have to be honest and say my first thought was, this is absolute rubbish. The claims are impossible. They're crazy. They defy sense and logic. That there are 5 unopened man-made structures inside the Khafre Pyramid that look like the Great Pyramid's King's Chamber and Relieving Chamber arrangement. But then it gets even more unbelievable, with claims there are 8 man-made, vertically aligned cylinder-like structures extending through the limestone bedrock for a whopping 648 metres, each with its own winding stairway and culminating in 2 large cubic structures, with sides measuring around 80 metres. To put that into perspective, the Empire State Building is 443 metres in height, so the so-called man-made cylinders are much, much larger, and the cubic structures are nearly twice as tall as the Statue of Liberty. With everything we know about history, ancient architecture and engineering, my brain just instantly calls bullshit on this entire discovery. But of course, that's not a good argument against it. It's unscientific, and it was merely my initial opinion. So, this past week, before jumping into making a video, I've tried my best to understand, firstly, the science, try to understand if the method is credible, and also if the interpretations are valid. In this video, I'll walk you through my thinking, and I'll also list a number of questions and concerns that I'd like to see resolved and answered in the forthcoming press conference and associated scientific paper.
Still pretty loud.
So, let's start with the science.
But yeah,
The science
what's
behind
my
the
goal?
discovery is
What am I
apparently
doing
called
here?
synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography, or SAR for short. A technology that is of course very real, but rarely used to detect anything below ground. That is not its primary use. And this is a very, very complicated subject, so I'll try and simplify everything the best I can. Synthetic aperture radar is a form of radar that is used to create 2D and 3D images of
I will set
objects
you
and
on fire the
landscapes.
minute I step out of
The
here.
radar equipment is carried aboard planes and satellites. An instrument sends out pulses of energy and then records the amount of that energy reflected back after it interacts with targets on Earth. From the data received, you can detect things unseen with the naked eye or traditional methods of image capture.
Hey, baby.
You get back data showing energy intensity, and from this, it can be calibrated and incredibly detailed pictures can be obtained. It's a real scientific technique, and it is used in archaeology. But can it see through soil and rock? Well, the technology has been used to find subsurface features, but mainly in soil and always very shallow targets.
That's what
It
you get.
can't penetrate deep into the bedrock. For example, one user on X, formerly Twitter, with the handle The Daddy Shark said the following, quote, SAR operates via microwave reflections. It measures surface features, not deep underground chambers. Vibration-based imaging from orbit is science fiction. There's no realistic way to reconstruct kilometers-deep structures from pixel motion analysis alone. Even in SAR, the most advanced SAR vibration technique only detects large-scale surface shifts. It's used for monitoring earthquakes, not mapping underground cities. End quote. He then provides advanced mathematics to show that microwave reflections can only penetrate about 1 meter of limestone bedrock.
Okay, now.
But according to researcher Manu Saifzadeh, who has also been researching the science, the principles behind the science of the new
Say
study
hello.
should not
How you
be
doing, Harriet?
dismissed, because the scientists are not claiming the
Got
radar
some stuff
waves
for you.
are penetrating
A
2
new
kilometers of
turn.
bedrock.
Let me see
They're
what you've
looking
collected.
at micro motions detected at the surface level.
Gentle giants. They're
So,
far more
excuse
patient
the
with us
jargon,
than we
they are
deserve.
modelling subsurface
Around
I
animals
agree.
this
harmonically resonating
magnificent, I
voids
am
that are projected on
humbled.
the
I
surface
am in
above.
awe.
The
Thank you for
Oh,
voids
this.
are
yeah.
detected
Of
as
course.
You know,
surface
mammal comes
micromotions.
from breast,
The
the
satellite
given
only
power of the
detects
mother,
this
the
motion at the
nurturing breast.
Interesting.
surface, not the resonating void
No
itself.
wonder I like this job so much.
From the
Poor
surface
thing.
motions,
Hope it
the
doesn't miss this.
location and depth of
You've
any
got
void
quite the
can then
collection
be
of those, huh?
reconstructed.
Yeah.
Another one.
According to
Fine.
Manu
Another one.
Saifzadeh, the
Some
scientific
large
method,
mammals are
in
so
theory, does
graceful
work.
despite their size.
Although,
I
at this
agree.
stage, he and others are unsure exactly how to reconstruct the data, because the software to calibrate these surface motions, to turn them into 2D and then 3D depth profiles to highlight any voids, is the
These are
brainchild of one of the
essential.
scientists
Be careful using them
involved
on
in the
small
project,
animals, mind.
Filippo
It's too much
Biondi.
for them, and they'll be taken out
Right
same
now,
as any bullet.
we're taking his word that his software works. It's his software and his algorithm we have to accept.
Okay, if that's it.
So, why should we accept it? That is a fair question, and I would want to see comparative studies where the SAR micromotion technique can see known structures within the bedrock. We need a comparison. Well, to be fair to Biondi, on his website
Oh, hell
harmonicsar.com,
yeah,
he does show a
bro.
comparative study, where his method was used on
That's
the Gran
just 10
Sasso Mountain
sheeps,
in
man.
Italy to accurately
Very
locate
much
known
enjoyed the
tunnels
alligators
and
found
also
here.
the Gran Sasso
Mhm.
Physics
See you
Lab,
soon,
and
I
these are
hope.
See ya.
located 1.4 kilometers below ground. I've left
She's so
links in the
nice.
description below.
When you're not killing
I
animals.
can't give any personal comment or critique on any of the science because it's well out of my area of expertise. So, at this stage, I would like Biondi to do two things. And no, not for me, but for everyone that's interested in the pyramids of Egypt. Number 1. Please release full details of all the stages taken to turn open access SAR data into this 3D diagram. Your software is the key to all of this, and to gain acceptance by the wider scientific and archaeological community, there needs to be complete transparency, and the findings do need to be independently verified by scientists unaffiliated with the CAFRE SAR project. Number 2, can we please see more comparative studies? I would like to see the scan results of another patch of limestone bedrock in northern Egypt.
Oh, did I do it?
Maybe close to Giza, ideally the same geological formation,
Oh,
but without
hell
any
yeah.
known archaeology above ground. This
Oh,
way, you
hell
can see
yeah.
how a standard patch of limestone bedrock looks using your method. The more comparative studies, the better, because it will instill trust in your work.
Awesome.
I'd like to see every stage, the raw data, the calibrated data, the 3D modelling and the interpretation with full
Oh,
transparency
gotta get you
into
guys.
how the
At least
method
one.
actually works. So, that's the science, and if all the above can be done, well, I can accept it. Scientific breakthroughs are made all the time, and I am absolutely in no position to judge what can be done and what can't be done. Like I said, it's way out of my area of expertise. From this point on, in good faith, I'll accept that these diagrams, this data is what the team got back. But my next concerns and questions are all regarding the interpretations of the data. How do you go from this to this? And also this to this? What concerns me most of all with this study is that a scientist gets some fuzzy data from his SAR micromotion method and somehow ends up with 8 giant man-made cylinders with spiral stairways taller than the Empire State Building and leading to cube-like structures twice as big as the Statue of Liberty. A substantial part of these structures would be below the water table, And no, not just today, not just in dynastic history and pre-dynastic history, but ever since the River Nile has been an active river, and certainly all the way through the African humid period. Humans do build cylinder structures going into the bedrock, but this is to reach the groundwater. They're called wells, but they don't carry on for hundreds more meters. It doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone, modern-day people, ancient Egyptians, mythical Atlanteans, or a lost civilization, build a lost city that was partly underwater? In what has to be said is very fractured, faulted, caustic, and very poor quality limestone bedrock. Why build a lost city this close to
this
the Nile
connection
River?
between us
You'd build it a few
developed into
kilometers
something
into the
quite
desert.
powerful, don't you think?
If you were clever enough
I
to build
agree.
this city,
Oh.
you would.
The majority of people go through life believing they see everything, when in fact, they see almost nothing, confined by the
actually
limits of
don't
their
disagree
own
with you.
consciousness. Just imagine if you could scurry as a possum, hop as a rabbit. Well, I've discovered an herb, scarlet and amethyst flowers. Hariatum officinalis was what I've named it. If you can make contact with a vestige of the animal while ingesting the herb and truly opening your mind to its vital forces, you will be transported in ways you
Right
can't
on,
even
Harriet.
begin to fathom. Trust me, this will open your eyes. Be free. I wouldn't share this information with anyone but you. All this humidity brings out some fascinating personalities.
Okay. Okay.
More details for your map. Just keep finding me new samples.
So
These are essential. Be careful using them on small animals, mind. It's too much for them, and they'll be taken out, same as any bullet. I can tell you're interested.
Oh my fucking god. Why does one need? I mean, I'm gonna get it, obviously, but why does one need the? Okay, well, we definitely want animal revival.
Always better not to leave those poor animals prone.
It's 3,000, so it's 9,000 total. Yeah, fuck it.
Your gun belt might start feeling tight after this. Wise purchase.
I don't know what. Oh my god, this is so awesome. Okay. Hopefully I didn't just. Okay. Oh no, I need gold. I'm so upset.
Smart purchase. Some good notes.
Thanks. Okay, fighter doesn't studies boar, possum, rabbit. I can't do more than one. I want to connect
So
with the
many
boar.
stories in the air. Simple enough then? Good
Thank you. Okay, I'm going back to camp. Which could be anywhere. Oh, shit. Hello, Mr. Arsonist. I also enjoy some good arson. I was just burning a church earlier.
Trying to scare the rabbits away.
Hey, Crips, I have had a fucking day. Let me tell you about it, my man. Give me a second. Barker?
Never much cared for dogs, I have to say.
Alright. Get a hit. Let me get a hit. Oh, that's the good stuff. You know what code I want? There we are. There we are. Get my celebration outfit on. I just need to put. I'm gonna put on my. Actually, I'll put. After my nice swim. Alright. There's so much to talk about. So much to talk about. So much has happened since I've seen you last. Did I even sell the things to? No. Or did I just get these? Yes. Alright, I'm gonna see all the things I have. Find recipes, letters, recipe pamphlets. Go to the castle. Animal reviver. I'm so excited for this one. What do we need? Ginseng and horse reviver. Cool. Got it. Escape. Let's go back. Hunting tonic. Nice. Plus a blood sample from one of the following species: panther, Florida panther, grizzly bear, black. Oh, that's cool. That was definitely it for recipes. Okay. Oh, that is a unique method. Okay. Page from Field Diary and Notes by Harriet. Legendary Eagle Eye skill page. Cool. Vitalism studies.
Traveled with a circus not far from here.
Field Diary and Notes by Harriet Davenport. Book Connections. Research. How can we hope to attain the truest appreciation of nature? By embodying it. To experience the swiftness and freedom of the book. Elation beyond my dreams. And yet, this was no delusion. This was a crossing of minds. Unity, at last. Such an unfathomable connection. There is one location where I feel close to its splendor. Where with 5 samples. Oh. Oh. We got it. 5 samples here in Fishin. Hope to come in with the box once more. Okay. And we're gonna go with previous. Board. Oh, I understand you've seen and felt it. I've occupied the very strength and diligence of the borders I have researched these many years. In all my readings and academic studies, nothing prepared my mind for this encounter. Some may question it, but I'm part of the experience was true. I must confirm my findings. 5 samples of hairs and officialis. This particular location felt the presence that created I must confirm my findings. 5 samples of hairs and official in this particular I felt the presence of that creature. I believe that is the path to understand. Cool, that's probably the first time I've done that. Alright, I'm not sure if I got anything else, but we'll see. Oh yeah. Is this? I might go down to Rio Bravo soon. Chase the legendary ram down there. But I'm definitely gonna take a break. Now, I do think that. Let's see. Yeah, you're kickbacker. Give me a second. Nerd. Good. This outfit is suitable for what? First. This time.
Wouldn't be stupid enough to put it next to a river. The team are talking about a lost city and a lost hall of records being discovered, and that the structures are all
Wait a
man-made.
minute.
But this makes no logical sense. It doesn't make sense hydrologically because a substantial part of the structures are underwater. It doesn't make sense geologically because it is a terrible place to build a lost city in badly weathered limestone and right next to the Nile River. It also does not make sense historically because it doesn't fit into any historical context, and it also doesn't make any engineering sense as well. Humans being, in the main, practical people, as seen by the archaeological discoveries from every era of history. These structures, being so enormous and so time-consuming to make, and so pointless having a large amount underwater, really defy logic. And where did all the excavated rock and rubble go? We're looking at rock with a volume of say 10 or more Empire State Buildings excavated from the earth. So where is this rock? Because it wasn't used to build the pyramids of Egypt, because we do know exactly where the quarries were. I therefore believe wholeheartedly that the interpretation is completely wrong. I can't see a scenario where it makes realistic sense. That is my opinion for now. Again, I will reiterate I'm no expert, but to me, this leaves only two ways to interpret the data. We're either looking at noise or artifacts in the calibrated scan data, or we're looking at natural geological features. To be able to so quickly come out with the interpretation that we're looking at man-made superstructures going down for hundreds of meters, that being the expert opinion of scientists involved in the study, means they must have taken every other option, every other interpretation into account. So, I now have some more questions for the team, which I'm saying publicly in a video for the record, and for transparency with my viewers. Number 1. If you detected man-made structures going down for hundreds of meters into the bedrock, you must have a very clear and detailed understanding of the geology, specifically directly beneath the Khafre Pyramid, because you're
Sorry, buddy. Thank you for your patience with me, buddy. I'm a peppermint. Some moonshine stuff going on up there. Right at the house where it just came from. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, right. Yes, we are. Excuse me. Oh no. That's what you sound like, nerd. Yeah, I hear you. I'll be right with you, baby. Hold on. There we go. Hi, sweet. Hi. Yes, that's so sweet. Need some attention. There you go. Okay, move on. No.
Hey, what do you think you're doing here?
Nothing.
You have got to leave now.
Okay. I'm leaving.
What was that?
I'm leaving. Swing. See ya. Oh, now you want to fight. Okay. don't think so, buddy. Where are you? Oh. You're a little busy loading your gun there, huh? Yeah. I call this overwhelming you with bullets. Probably nothing. Would you look at that? Dumbass. And got yourself shot, huh? No? Not gonna need this 9 cents. Well, there's always going to be a higher ledge, but this one sure is incredible. Okay, let's test out our new tent thing. Oh man. don't act so helpless. Well, I guess you are pretty helpless, aren't you? No!
Able to rule out a natural explanation. I know, and so do many others, that the Giza limestone is riddled with fault.
Okay, I'm gonna go take a break real quick. I look for something else to watch.
At Giza, there are vast cave networks, all of which are natural, as seen leading from the Tomb of the Birds, and these may well extend all the way to the Khafre Pyramid. There are also iron-rich mineralized veins running next to and beneath the Khafre Pyramid. There are multiple bedding planes from numerous limestone beds, and these beds have lateral changes in thickness. And because of groundwater movement, I'm sure they've all undergone some weathering. So, can the scientists please explain in detail why their so-called man-made features can't be natural voids like caves, faults and fissures, and also weathered bedding planes? All such features...
Here, I'll read you. I'm gonna read out the Lost Media Wiki for the Tonight Show with Jay Leno Unplugged Found Blackout episode from Late Night Talk Show 2001. The Tonight Show with Jay Leno is an American late night talk show, blah blah blah. 4,610 episodes. There exists a notorious episode that went wrong during its taping that hasn't resurfaced after its initial airing until now, of course. From 2000 to 2001, there was a rolling blackout problem in California, which resulted in a number of different problems exacerbated by a flawed deregulation scheme. Anytime there was a blackout during that time in California, millions of people were affected and dealt with no lights, air conditioning, and other necessities. However, Jay Leno decided that on June 21st, 2001, that night's episode would be filmed while a blackout was happening. Unplugged, episode 2081, simply known as Unplugged, was an episode where Jay Leno filmed the show while a blackout was happening in an NBC studio in Burbank. While it's believed that this happened while a blackout appeared, the real reason was Leno wanting to show solidarity with the crisis by hosting a show in a set only lit by candles scattered in handheld flashlights around the studio. During the episode, Jay had 3 nocturnal animals that joined him during a segment. Leno also talked about the blackout during the whole episode, having at least one joke during the late night show for weeks, quote, God, this power crisis in California is still going on, Leno joked at the time. Who would have thought the 21st century would be the Dark Ages? In fact, the only working lights we have now are from the MRI space thing burning up. I don't know what that is. Alright, Arsenio's magic trick. While the episode is memorable for what Leno did, it's mostly infamous for an incident that was forgotten during its taping. According to people who watched it, magician, entertainer Arsenio Hall was a guest during a segment of the episode. He was going to perform the cut the lady in half trick. The woman participant was lying down in the box, and as Arsenio started to cut the box, the woman screamed out that she'd been cut by the katana before cutting to commercials. People after watching the episode were pretty disturbed by what happened, but many dismissed the incident as some dark bit Leno planned. Others, on the other hand, believed that the incident was real since Leno's comedy is extremely bland and never dark, making a conspiracy theory that the woman was either injured or killed, and NBC never re-aired the episode after September 3rd, 2001, due to the incident. On February 24th, 2025, the full episode was uploaded to General Altro's YouTube channel, sourced from the Oakley Tapes Patreon. Alright, I'm gonna watch. You don't get to see. don't think that's real. I think that was definitely fake. Never. Alright. Very cute, sweet. Yes. Yes. Alright. I'm here. What am I going to do? Oh yeah, I wanted to look for that ram. Let me see what conditions that ram likes. Okay, it likes clear weather, so not right now. And from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening, the ram has been seen traversing the arid terrain of Rio Bravo. It is known for its white skin and prominent black horns. Fast and agile, it can be hard to catch when moving at full speed, so approach with care. It is most active from dawn until the hottest part of the day and prefers dry weather. Alright, cat, sorry, I gotta put you down now because we're having a really nice time, but I'm gonna put you down. Good girl. I need to get to business. Man, did I go see What's Her Face recently and I didn't buy an, I got the alcohols. Did I buy the map from Madame Nazar? Or did I just get the couple of herbs? I don't know. Did not get them. Alright, well, now's not a good time for that ram. So, the Call of the Void! Ah! Okay. Now I don't want to be here anymore. Okay. One, I'm changing my main campsite to the Heartlands. Cool. Two, I think I'm getting off